Attention! It is. I am the multi-voice reviewer. I have many voices, but one opinion. And today's review I'm going to be doing, folks, is a certain movie that I have a soft spot for. And if you remembered in my review of the Creature Commandos, on the Creature Commandos, I remember saying this one line from a certain movie. In dire days like this, we need Hail Mary Path here. We need raw power. We need monsters. So this is a review I'm going to be doing for today. So my review is going to be none other than Monsters vs. Aliens. Now I would have reviewed this during my multi-voice-a-ween, but one thing I had to say that most of the monsters in this movie are actually more like monsters from the atomic age. I mean, they're not monsters based on Penny Dreadful novels and such. These are monsters based from science fiction horror. You know, like Godzilla, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, The Blob, Creature of the Black Lagoon. Yeah, that's true. Creature of the Black Lagoon was part of Universal, but he showed up during the Atomic Age. And, you know, I would love to connect the Creature of the Black Lagoon with the deep ones from H.P. Lovecraft's story called the Shadow in Innsmouth, which they did make a movie based from that story called Dagon. But of course, according to the origin of the Creature of the Black Lagoon, aka the Gill Man, he's supposed to be a prehistoric being who is a fish evolved into a human being. That's the Creature of the Black Lagoon story. But to me, I prefer to combine the some of H.P. Lovecraft creatures to the Creature of the Black Lagoon, if you ask me. I mean, why not? I mean, why not combine? I mean, pointing out that the Creature of the Black Lagoon, or the Gill Man, as you call it, is actually one of the deep ones. Ancient people who worships Dagon, and I mean, people who worships Dagon and starts turning into fish people, and always worships their god with human sacrifices, and the number one purpose that the deep ones wants to do is to mate human women, so their offspring can show up. Hey, that's in from H.P. Lovecraft. I mean, it ain't my story. But anyway, enough with my theory about the Creature of the Black Lagoon. Now, the movie is my favorite movie of all time. It's my favorite movie of all time because it has two things I always like. One, I always like monsters, and two, I always like aliens. So it'll be kind of neat. Although it's a little similar to a certain idea I thought up a long time ago. I thought up a story called Monster War, and it was a story about in the future the aliens wipe out the human race, but there are these two children who are still alive, two babies, one boy, one girl, not related, and Dracula, he starts protecting the children because they are humanity's last hope. And all the monsters decided to have a war against the aliens in order to protect their planet. Even though this world is used to rule by humans, Earth is still the monsters' world. They cannot survive without the planet, without Earth. And of course, Dracula and his monsters declare war against the aliens. Of course, that was my story, not theirs. This one is way different. What you have here is an interesting story where you have this girl who goes by the name of Susan, a.k.a. Gigantua. Or Ginormica, actually. Ginormica. Now, I know that she's a parody. She's actually a parody to the Attack of the 50-Foot Woman. And for those of you who don't know what Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, it was a movie about a alien giant who grabs this one girl, and the radiation from that giant caused her to grow completely big, and her husband has been cheating on her. So now she wants revenge over her husband who's been cheating on her. Hey, don't betray a girl who becomes gigantic. Now, to her story, a meteorite landed right in front of her, and the radiation from the meteorite caused her to grow giant. And my favorite character in the movie, which has no picture of him on it, he goes by the name of W.R. Munger. Get it? W.R. Munger, warmonger. But he's a general who rounds up all these science fiction monsters together and kept them in his area called Area 50. Was it Area 52 and a half or something like that? Oh well. Anyway, W.R. Munger, voiced by Kiefer Sutherland, he brought Susan to the area where she meets all these monsters. His name is Bob. Benzoate, Arvin I forgot the initials, but he's supposed to be, a Jello version of the Blob, except he's called Bob, and he's a no-brain slime critter who can dissolve food, and I mean, he's really hilarious. He's going like, "Hi, I'm Bob. I mean, what is your name? I mean, seriously, when people come out, they say, 'Look out! Here comes Susan.'" Susan! Ooh, I scared myself. And of course, I remember what he said when that giant robot stomped on him, and he's like, "I got him, you guys! I got him! Boom! Hang on, guys! He's getting weak! Boom! I think I need help, you guys!" Boom! And of course, you meet the missing link here. The missing link here, he's supposed to be the Creature of the Black Lagoon-like character, except he tries to act like Mr. Tough Guy. He's like, "I know what you're thinking. The first time in prison, you want to beat the toughest guy around here? Well, I would like to see you try." Yep! Ow! Oh, my back! Ugh. And also meet this giant, adorable-looking critter, goes by the name of Insectosaurus. She doesn't speak anything, she just goes like, "Aah! Do not upset Insectosaurus! He's gonna pee himself, and we're all in trouble!" And also she meets Professor Cockroach, PhD. "Hello, I am Professor Cockroach, PhD. You cannot squash a cockroach." He always acts like a mad scientist. But, to Dr. Cockroach's origin, he's actually a human professor who was doing some experiments by mixing some DNA. He thought he could have abilities like a cockroach, where he can absorb radiation without causing any effect or anything. But something went terribly wrong, and he turns into a human cockroach. But of course, in the later movies, you hear him saying, "My dear girl, my PhD has in dance." Now, you have the president, who is voiced by Stephen Colbert. And of course, Hugh Laurie, he's the one who's doing the voice of Dr. Cockroach, PhD. Now, ever since Susan got big, she wanted to go back home. And of course, when this this giant robot showed up, he started creating problems, and the president, he's like, "Oh, forget it all." And then when he was about ready to hit the button, it would nuke everything. He says, "Which one of the buttons give me a huge latte?" "That one, sir." "Oh, that's a good cup of joe." Now, Steve Colbert doing the voice of the president, he's pretty hilarious. And throughout the story, it turns out that this robot was sent by an evil alien, voiced by the same actor who played Dwight Schrute from The Office. He does the voice of the alien. What he's trying to do is it turns out that he destroyed his own planet because nobody didn't appreciate him in his own planet. So he decided to be the only alien species living in his own planet. Well, not on his planet, but on his ship that he travels through the stars with. And it turns out that one of his planets had the same radiation that infected Susan to make her become giant. And it's the power that he wanted to for his next idea of his plan. So when he found Susan, he kidnaps her and took her powers so he can create. So the alien can create his army of clones so he can take over. But it's up to Link, Bob, Professor Cockroach, and Insectosaurus, and W.R. Munger to go out and save Susan. Although W.R. Munger's plane has been destroyed, and Insectosaurus has been knocked out and put into a cocoon, until it turns out that Insectosaurus turned into a giant butterfly. And Link was surprised that Insectosaurus is a girl, not a boy. Imagine that. When Susan went back to her hometown, she meet this boyfriend of hers, but it turns out that he thinks the relationship between him and her will not work out good. God, that sucks. And of course, one thing about Susan, she was the kind of girl who wanted to explore. She wants to travel. She wants to see the world, and thought her marrying a newsman can do better for her life. But sadly, he got promoted being a newsman in a small town of Paris, America. In all her life, she wanted to see Paris. Hmm. Anyway, Dr. Cockroach, Link, and Bob figured out that there's going to be a whole army of that evil alien, and they need to find a way to get inside and help Susan out. And Bob says, "Hey, I may not have an idea. I may not have a brain, but I have an idea." I always do. I mean, I know it's Seth Rogen doing the voice of Bob. And I do a good impression of him. "Hi, I'm Bob. Let's come to my place and get toked." You know, I heard rumors saying that somebody's planning to do an American version of Doctor Who, and they're going to have Seth Rogen play the Doctor. That is a nightmare, and thank God they didn't go along with that idea. "Hi, I'm the Doctor. Why don't you come into my TARDIS so we can get toked?" "Hey, TARDIS, why don't you just chillax and get toked? Weed." It'll be really retarded and stupid, if you ask me. But anyway, they all disguise each other as the evil alien, and they finally sneaked in to get Susan out, and she finally did. Now Susan, she decided to go one-on-one with that evil alien and get that power back so she could be back as Ginormica once again. Hmm. And as the and of course that alien has that radiation power in this huge orb on his statue that he has. Susan, I mean, Dr. Cockroach used the Dance Dance Revolution pad in one of the rooms. It creates a self-destruction mechanism. So now the evil alien ship is going to be self-destruct. And Susan, and as the evil alien was about ready to leave, the ship was collapsing, and so was his statue. So his statue hold the orb of her power, and as it shattered, the orb landed right on top of Susan, and it gave her the powers back. And she finally goes one-on-one with the alien, and then just left him in the room where he dies while the ship explodes. And Susan, she jumped really high and saved Bob, Cockroach, and Link. And then all of a sudden, when they were out of the ship, they're about ready to hit the cliff. But, surprise, surprise, General W.R. Munger, an Insectosaurus who is actually a Calipetter, showed up. And of course, Link was surprised. And now, the day is saved, and her family was really happy for Susan for saving the day. And of course, her boyfriend thinks that he's gonna have a life with her by his side, but she said, "Forget it. I think I'm better off traveling the world without you." And of course, Bob, being the dumb one, he thinks he's with him. Stupid. And that is Monsters vs. Alien for you. And the movie got really popular enough that they made a video game from all different cartridge: PC, PlayStation, Xbox, and probably Nintendo Wii, I think. I haven't played it, so I don't know. But when DreamWorks, the company who made Shrek, who also created this, Monster vs. Aliens, they decided to make a couple of holiday specials. Now, my favorite holiday special that they made, which I would have mentioned it in my multi-voice arena, Alien vs. Monsters, Mutant Pumpkins from Outer Space. In this one, it picks up where the first movie left off, where it turns out that there are some remains of some kind of ooze from the ship just poured out, and it landed into the pumpkin patch, and now they start getting all mutated and getting all big and going like, and now it's up to Susan, Link, Bob, and Dr. Cockroach to deal with the pumpkin before they destroy Halloween altogether. So it's really funny and it's really entertaining to see a bunch of mutant pumpkins battling against a bunch of those monsters, of course. And surprisingly, the only way they can defeat them is they have to feed them all the candy they have, because if they get bigger and bigger and bigger, they're going to explode. So much for the candy to save. And even Professor Cockroach had a little bit of a memory of his past where he had a lollipop and somebody took it away from him when he was a kid, which that was pretty sad. But now, when he had to deal with the pumpkins, he had to throw away the lollipop he got from trick-or-treating. But I'm sure he's gonna get a new one soon. And then they made a sequel of it called Night of the Living Carrots, where now the ooze from the pumpkin affected the carrots, and they start going around biting people, turning them into zombies. Sort of a reference to Night of the Living Dead, but I kind of like it that way. Instead of zombies, flesh-eating zombies, you get carrots. One bite from them, you're like, ugh. and only Bob, he's a human slime. He's a gelatinous mass. So one bite from those carrots doesn't affect him. And all he's going to do is squash every single of those carrots, and he saved the day. And the Alien vs. Monster got so popular that Nickelodeon decided to make this. Alien vs. Monsters, the series, where they introduce alien characters who wants to join with them. Now, I don't know their names, so bear with me, but this alien here, who has this hovering chair, it turns out that he is actually evil because he's thinking about taking over the Earth and put the monster and trying to find a way to put the monsters out of the way, to get the monsters out of the way. But every time when he tries to destroy the monsters so he can rule Earth, he always gets foiled. And other aliens, who turns out to be a lot friendlier, well, kinda. There is this little kid-like alien who talks like a little kid, and he is extremely smart, way smarter than Dr. Cockroach. And also, he's a clean freak. He always likes things clean. He hates germs. And of course, this female alien that Link seemed to be interested in, she's a warrior type. She's a warrior type alien. She only be interested in somebody if that person is stronger than she is, and she can take down anybody who makes her mad. And she doesn't care if anybody makes her mad. She likes it that way. And of course, she has this giant alien pet here. This giant alien pet here who acts like a dog. But she's loyal to the tough alien girl. And for Susan, on the other hand, it turns out that they found some kind of another radiation power, and it affected Susan. It made her normal, but it gave her the ability where now she can make herself giant and she can shrink herself into average size. So now she can control her powers a lot better. Now, when I bought this, I thought this was the Halloween special, but actually this is Monster vs. Aliens creature feature, where it's just clips from the show. But it was entertaining nonetheless and very funny. Well, this is my review of Alien vs. Monster. So, if you like this review, please leave a comment down below, hit like and subscribe for more reviews, and stay tuned. I have certain plans to do on my review, so see you later. Bye-bye, folks.